Welcome back. Today we're going to talk about the Medulla Oblongata and Om Japa in the Chakras. Why is that so important? So let's get into it. So the way that I describe the Medulla Oblongata is, first of all, you've got to find all of these with your mind. And it's like, that's okay. It's here, it's here, it's here. You've got to find it. You got to feel it. And feeling, that sense of feeling is the chitta, right? That's your feeling mind. And that's how you got to find these things, right? So the way I describe it is you go like this. You go, oh, now I get it. And when you strain the back of your neck, in that moment, that is the medulla oblongata. When and where do your eyes go? They go backwards. They go up, and like we're looking backwards, because the Kutastha is like a mirror for the medulla oblongata. So we're actually looking backwards. Amazing, right? So that's how I describe finding the medulla oblongata. Now, I have a really deep, advanced student of mine, and he's been working on a brain website where he sees pictures of the brain every day and descriptions, and he realized that his perception of my instruction, he was actually concentrating more on the cerebellum in the back of the brain, which kind of hangs in the back on either side above the medulla and farther back. And the thing about the cerebellum, of course, well, it's not the medulla, and it's a very active area of the brain. And so it's really not what we want for a meditation practice. And so he realized he had to move his attention inward towards the spine and downward. And that's where he found the medulla. And he said it was like coming home. Isn't that beautiful? He figured it out. He found it mentally, and it was like coming home. And that just made my day. That was amazing. So the thing about the spine is it's like a tree trunk. And when you hit the diaphragm, it just goes, it spreads out like crazy. It's still contained within the vertebrae, mostly. But it spreads out, and it's called the horse's tail. And that's the big difference between the upper nervous system and the lower nervous system. When you feel these two systems in meditation, there's a big qualitative difference. I'll have another story about that for sure. So the thing about the spine, as you come upwards, it gets thicker and thicker and thicker, just like the base of a tree. So it's an upside down tree, you see. And so you come up the spine, it gets thicker and thicker, and then finally in the cervical vertebrae, it gets very thick, and then finally at the top of the cervical vertebrae, just at the base of the skull, it gets very, very thick. There's a nice little swelled bump in there, and that swelled bump is the medulla oblongata. And that's where you're going to find that perception of, oh, I'm home. And isn't that glorious? So that's what we're looking for. And because I got this feedback, I developed a new way to find the medulla oblongata mentally. So try it out. You lift your attention up to the base of the skull, the top of the neck, and just go like this. And what you're trying to feel is that you've got a ball, and then you've got a little screw coming into the ball. And the screw, feel as if it's turning back and forth. And it's a little tiny triangle pushing up into the ball. So just move your head back and forth, not too far, because we don't want to engage these muscles and feel them. We just want to feel the little screw inside the center of the neck that's screwing into the skull. So just like that. And it's a really easy way to find the medulla oblongata. So we've got the, oh, now I get it. That's mentally how we find it, and that's how our body reacts when we're in that space and we have the aha moment, right? So now I wanted to give you this, another mental trick to find the medulla oblongata. Just like that. And it should feel restful because the medulla is the breath center. So immediately when you put your attention there, you're beginning to affect the heart, and it's going to slow down slightly. And that's what's going, that physically, that's what's going to affect you right away. So why do we want to find these chakras mentally? Because you want to go there and you want to chant Om into them. It's like dropping a little mantric bomb into your own chakra. Or the way I describe it very often, it's like an oil well that's been set on fire, right? We have problems and we're agitated, and that's the oil well that's been set on fire. And you can't just, throw a towel over it and think it's going to stop the fire, because the oil is bubbling up and it's just raging. And so what they have to do is they actually lower a small bomb into the oil well and they blow it up, and that explosion uses up all of the oxygen and sucks out the fire. It's just, and then you have the natural welling of oil. That's how I mentally think of Om Japa in the chakras. It's a little mantric bomb and you just drop it right into the chakra. But to be able to do that, you have to find them mentally first. So I made a video on this, how to find your chakras mentally. And now I've got that new instruction for the medulla oblongata. I hope that helps you a lot. I really love it. I think it's a very simple instruction that's easy to follow. It's that little screw in the top of the bowl of the skull. So just a little screw, and you're turning it back and forth, and you find that little pyramid that's at the base of the skull. And there it is, and it feels so good and restful. So you want to go into each chakra and chant Om. Just drop that mental mantric bomb. And what this is doing is that we've got the ventral vagal nerve and then the sympathetic nervous system. And all of these are covering the dorsal vagal nerve. So by putting a mantric bomb into the chakra, we're uncovering some of those layers of the ventral vagal nerve and the sympathetic nerve. We're on the dust and the junk of those nervous systems which are the samskaras, right? So that we can get closer and closer and awaken the dorsal vagal nerve. And that's what the Om Japa is all about, is cleaning and uncovering the truth of the dorsal vagal nerve. So because these chakras are part of your system, and because the brain and the spine are mirrors, they are reflexive, you can't really dig around in your brain. It's dangerous. So if you dig around mentally, you could, in your brain, a little bit is okay, but if you do a lot, you run the risk of getting a severe headache. There are lots of problems. You'd never see a neurosurgeon with a shovel. That would be a very scary thing. Okay, you ready for your brain surgery? And he's got a shovel and a pitchfork, right? That's not good. And so what happens? The neurosurgeon comes in for your brain and he's like, oh my God, I'm going to move just a microsecond. And that's kind of the mental attitude that we should have towards our brain a little bit. But the spine is different. The spine is a very safe place to practice moving our attention around. And that's why Kriya Yoga and the Bhagavad Gita say this is the land of Kurukshetra. From here up, this is heaven, and from here down, this is the land of the war of Kurukshetra. That's the battle of good and evil in your body in meditation. There's a lot of noise going on outside, so I'm just going to very quickly go over each chakra and what they mean. In another video, I'm going to go more in depth with it. So the base of the spine, the coccyx, is all about the physical, right? The solid physical. And because of this, we associate it with property. So that's my house, that's my car, stay away from my dog. These are all our property, and so all of those issues are contained within the coccyx chakra. The sacral chakra has to do with sex and relaxation. Anything which is soft and nice and a warm bubble bath, anything which is a little bit sensual and relaxing. The third chakra, which is behind the belly button, all the way back in the spine, the third chakra is about doing. So when we get frustrated, when we're up against something and we're using our willpower and our might to overcome a problem, that's the third chakra. And the fourth chakra is about the heart. So anytime we feel hurt, anytime we feel deep love, all of these have to do with the heart chakra. And the throat, of course, has to do with truth. Speaking the truth, not speaking the truth, lies, all of that is in the throat chakra. If there's something that we should be saying and we're not saying, maybe it's not appropriate. Maybe it wouldn't be good for our job if we told our boss to go get lost, right? That wouldn't be good for us. But man, we feel like saying it. Well, all those contained words stay in the throat. That's the throat chakra. And finally, the medulla, that's the wisdom. So that's not part of the 5 Pandava brothers, that's actually Krishna. So you can chant Om there still, of course, which is wonderful. But this is really our own center of wisdom in the body. This is where we go to Google God, in the body. So the idea with Om Japa is that we're going to go into each of these. And if you know what's bothering you, and you can look at your chakra system and say, which chakra would this have to do with? And then go into that chakra and chant Om in it. Well, that is going to help you, and that is going to calm down the issue and eradicate it at the very source, which is the spine. And isn't that amazing? So that's a quick rundown, and I'm going to go into that more and more as we move along. Like I said, there's some noise out here that sounds like a jackhammer, and I don't want to bother you guys with that sound, so I hope it didn't pick up too much in this video. So I hope this was helpful for you. It's just an introduction to Om Japa in the spine. If it was helpful and valuable, hit subscribe down there so you can see us next time. Take care, and I'll see you then.